Hey everyone, good morning, or I guess it's lunchtime. I'm just gonna check here so that I can see comments. All right. One day I'm gonna get this right. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm using my phone and my laptop. I'm like a pro. Okay, so I'm Heidi Neufeld, Senior Ruby Ambassador from Manitoba, Canada, and I just wanted to take a little bit of time today. What a privilege to be asked to share on Wellness Wednesday here with everybody. And I want to take a few minutes, and I will give everyone a couple seconds here to hop on. I know there's a little bit of a time delay, and I'm going to make sure that I can see all these comments if they come. And essentially though, we're going to talk about adrenal fatigue, which essentially is hormone balance. And we are going to talk about why plexus was my missing link in this journey. So a little bit of background. Hey, Kristen. I'm going to start with a background on myself because that is going to make sense into why I had to do all the learning that I had to do. So essentially I got married at 18 years old. Got lots of hassle for that, but it turned out to be the best thing ever. Just a really motivated mindset, always had. So what that meant was, I meet Kurt, he's got the same mentality. So we're grain farming, we've got a finished carpentry business. We thought, heck, we're going to start having our kids early so that we can be young parents. And we just started giving her, we started doing it. I was working home care. I was working as a healthcare aide, and I was also working part-time on the surgical floor in our local hospital and loving it. And people would say, how do you do what you do? And are you so busy all the time? I really did not stop to think about it. I don't know, I just always did. I got up and I gave her. And so we had two toddlers, Flynn and Carmel. And all of a sudden, the third was on the way, maybe just before actually that pregnancy. I got this idea in my mind. Hi, ladies. Got in my mind that I had this genius idea. I was going to start up yet another company because I remember I was sitting on the couch at night. I had this genius idea. I wanted to start a business from the ground floor up, doing kids bedding and accessories. I wanted to market it. I wanted to source it. I got the company up and going from my PJs at home, and basically it was one of those things where I just did it. I just did it. I just made it happen. I was calling suppliers in my jammies at home. Little did they know. All like in Australia, in other side of Canada, and it worked. I got this business. It was called American Kids Bedding. It was all online, and I was the go-to. And when you're dealing, this is now about maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago, credit cards were still really new. Online was really new. And so that meant literally that my business did not sleep. If someone's credit card payment came through, I had to be Johnny on the spot, and I had to reply. If I didn't, you'd get emails saying, is this a fraud? Is this company for real? So here's what that looked like as a mom. Okay, I'm working part-time. We're doing our farm wife, man and husband life. Did I just say man and husband? You guys, I think I'm hungry. You get what I'm saying. So we're just giving her. And I would put the kids for nap. I would run upstairs, my office was upstairs, and I would work as much as I could, and then I'd hear them on the monitor, and then I would hurry back downstairs, and I was hustling, and then I would do mom life again. I'd run for work, and then I would put everybody to bed at night, say goodnight to my husband, and then I would burn the candle at both ends, essentially. I would stay up till about 1:30. That never crossed my mind or fazed me as, maybe I should think about doing things a little differently. And I did this for about a year and a half. We went on vacation. My company went with laptop on the beach. So I always had the health nurse saying, now my third pregnancy comes along, and she's like, Heidi, you have to make sure you're resting, right? You guys are moms, most of you. You know the drill, right? You drinking enough water, are you sleeping enough, are you napping when the kids are napping? And I always said, heck no, right? Like, I got stuff to do. And so, no, I wasn't resting, and I certainly was not paying attention to my health. I never thought of it as a problem. Guys, I remember some pretty bad habits. I mean, it is embarrassing to think we were chugging apple juice out of those 2-liter, how disgusting. I truly was not at all a poster child of health. And so nothing fazed me until, and here's where the story starts. all of a sudden, I was about 8 months pregnant, and I remembered, because I'm a jeans kind of a gal, but I was wearing yoga pants because I was really pregnant, running errands all morning, and I was racing home to get the kids in bed for a nap. And you know, toddlers are crying, they're hungry, they're hangry, and you're just like trying to get in the door. So we pull into the garage, and I remember, I don't know if I looked down first or if I felt it first, but I remember when I did look down, I saw my left thigh completely shaking underneath my pants. The whole thing. I could see my fabric of my pants moving. My whole thigh muscle was just vibrating. I had just recently had a friend lose her dad to ALS. So that instantly stirred a moment of intense anxiety, because I just remember thinking, you have got to be kidding. Right? I'm like, I think I was 27, I would have been younger, 26, 27 years old. I thought of two things, MS or ALS. So that, I kind of shelved it. We're pretty good at that as moms. I shelved it, and at night I went to Dr. Google. Don't do that. It told me two things. Your muscles are twitching, you've got MS or ALS. So it sent me into a spiral of anxiety, laying on the bed just really nauseous and anxious and not being the greatest company to be around. But I was able to get past that. Had the baby, Claudia came, it was all perfect. It was like a textbook, and we continue on until, I'm going to share a little bit extra details. I hope most of us are women here. But essentially what was happening is, usually postpartum, 3 months postpartum, my cycle, excuse me, goes back to normal. It didn't this time, and I remember thinking that that was kind of weird. I kind of wanted it to come back, so I knew what I was up against, but it didn't. And so kept plowing along. Month 4 comes along, and all of a sudden, yeah, exactly, Lisa. We pretty much are dying when we go to Google. Essentially, though, what happened is when she turned 4 months old, guys, it was like clockwork. I woke up one morning, I'm never going to forget it. It was about 5 in the morning. I remember waking up in the most intense, it was like I got the biggest shot of adrenaline, like somebody had just slammed my chest, or I was hit by a train. My heart was racing so fast. I was instantly in a full sweat. I could not stand up. I called for Kurt. I said, Kurt, I don't know what's wrong. And when I did finally get up, it was to run to the washroom to throw up, and this continued. I could not get my baby out of her crib because I'd be shaking so bad. It was such a scary place to be. I thought it was the worst flu known to man. I did not know at the time that that was my very first panic attack. I am not someone, from what you can hear right here, I'm not someone who sits around and worries. If there's a job to do, let's do it. And but so I was just beside myself. I sat on a recliner pretty much all day long. Kurt would have to come home from work. When the kids woke up, he would get Claudia out of her crib. The other two were, I think they were 2 and 4 years old. So he would put, you guys know those colorful plastic bowls from IKEA that everybody has? I remember them lined up with their matching cup. He'd put the Cheerios in there and the milk beside it. They would pour it in there, and Mommy would say, you guys need to go downstairs and play. It was scary, scary stuff. Guess what though? 2 weeks later, I felt back to normal, and I said to Kurt, that was just the worst flu known to man. Like, here we go, it's over, like, let's get on it again. That was great for 2 weeks, and it started again. Are you guys catching what I'm starting to say here? Do you see how this was cyclical? 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Let's just say it continued to get much, much worse. This wasn't something that I just dealt with for 2 weeks. This was a 5-year journey. At the beginning of it, as I was just kind of scrambling as to what is wrong, I wanted to know what is causing this. Kurt took me to the doctor. We went to emergency because I'd be shaking so bad. They always would whisper to him, is she someone that sits and worries a lot? And I would be like elbowing him, like, you know, don't tell them I do. Like, you know that I don't. But, yeah, like, I mean, I could see from their perspective, they're thinking she's just got a really bad case of the panic attacks and the anxiety. But I wanted to know why. And that's what I want to talk about. Why was that happening to me? Because, like I said, I'm not someone that sits around and worries. And when I think of anxiety, that's what I thought of. So here's where my learning started. In that moment, after going all the way to mental health crisis intervention team, which was very scary, my local town, people that knew me did not know what I was going through, because I could do my makeup, I could do my hair, I could get myself dressed, could get to the grocery store to buy milk, and I could make it appear normal, but it was on the inside, right? It's the internal symptoms, it's what's going on at home that was very scary. So I started seeing a naturopath. Gosh, guys, I went to about every natural practitioner that you can think of, and I will tell you that I, over the course of 5 years, spent the equivalent of a very, very generous, what I would call a university education, or if you want to call it a degree in natural health. I should have a piece of paper, but I don't. And what I learned and what was so interesting was a lot to do with hormones and adrenals, because that's where I was suffering. I wanted to know the why. So my naturopath, we did all the tests. And let's talk about those adrenal glands. I didn't even know what they were. So adrenal, you've got two, right? Adrenal glands, they sit, they're tiny little organs, but they will fight the longest and the hardest for you. They're kind of they're your silent support. So when you're just busy and you're being a boss mom and you're running the kids to activities, right? You feel the ups and downs, but you keep pushing through. You know why? Because your adrenal glands are pushing through for you. They are like your biggest support and cheerleader. So they sit above the kidneys and they produce many, many of the hormones. Now what happens is they will go and they will go and they will go until one day they say, I'm done. And that's what happened that morning when I woke up. Right? There were probably warning signs like that twitching. That was my body telling me that it was getting to a state of total exhaustion. So, you know, do you guys ever get eye twitching? I'm going to try and see some of the comments here, but eye twitching, sometimes you'll feel like a quiver in your abdomen, sometimes in the shoulder blade. It's just like a little twitch, okay? That is right there. That is a sign of exhaustion. Your body's tired. It's not getting enough sleep. You're pushing it too hard. I ignored all those warning bells. Don't be me. So my adrenal glands were totally exhausted and I started learning about adrenal fatigue, but my problem really was that my progesterone was not keeping up. I had my levels checked because my mom has had breast cancer and I was really frightened that my estrogen would be too high, but it was all good. But here's what was happening with hormones. They just flow all month long. Estrogen's always on top, progesterone's always on the bottom, and through the month, right, they do this the whole time. I'm a real hand talker, guys. Sorry, I'm thinking this looks like I'm like doing one of those kids songs. But so they do this. But what was happening is at certain times the gap was too big. So if you experience PMS, you know, at ovulation, you feel cramping, you feel moody, you get migraines, headaches, you know, all the symptoms we know about. You can tell there's something going on in there. That's just because estrogen is dominating. Doesn't have to be too high, it's just dominating. I could not get my progesterone, which is the calming hormone, I could not get it to close the gap, and I couldn't figure out why. So, and like I said, I was learning inside and out. And so what I ended up learning was that with adrenals, the body has no filter in terms of stress. So when stress goes up, that can be trauma, it can be relational issues, it can be, you know, all the things we would consider stress, or it can also be all the good things, job promotions, running the kids to activities, which they love, holiday parties, you know, lots of dates and coffee dates, just constant busy. Your body does not have a filter, so it doesn't say, oh, this one goes over here, but that's okay, that's the good kind, it goes over here, we won't worry about it. There's no filter. And so what happens is the body's under constant stress, and that is really, really common today. We are busier than ever. I think that's why we're seeing a lot more hormone imbalance, a lot more health issues popping up, a lot more mental health crises, right? Anxiety, all that is a fancy word for hormone imbalance and exhaustion. So it's not a long-term illness. It's actually not even an illness. It is just your body's tired, right? Take a break, give it what it needs. So here's what I had to do, what I learned. Here I am 5 years later. I'm going for walks. I'm going to bed early. Guys, I cried on the couch. I had to sell my company. It was doing so phenomenally well, but I had to let it go because I knew in that moment I had to get me better or I wasn't even going to be able to be a mom. And so we had bought this farm, and I'm crying on the couch because I'm saying, Kurt, like, I think God wants me to sell this company, and I'm really scared to let it go because I've built this up. And guys, I was at the point where I was looking at brick and mortar stores now. So you can see how that would feel very unsettling, but I had to do it. I let it go. Unfortunately, the people that bought it did not take care of it, but that's okay because through it I have found plexus. So what I was learning was the adrenal glands are tired, the cortisol's constantly, that's your stress hormone, it's constantly amping up because it's trying to keep me going because I'm refusing to listen, I'm stubborn, I'm not taking time to slow down. And so when that happens, right, you're getting shots of adrenaline. So you'll find sometimes you'll wake up between, 4 and 6 in the morning, and you'll wake up a little more suddenly. You're getting a jolt of adrenaline. Your body's giving you a kickstart to get you going. If you have trouble falling asleep at night or you lay awake for a long time, that's another indicator because you're getting, those shots of adrenaline and it's not burning off adequately. Panic attacks is a shot of adrenaline where your body is so fatigued that it's just not doing what it's supposed to do. So if you know someone with anxiety, or if you do, I'm always open to chats, and I've done lots of videos on this, but nonetheless, here's where plexus comes in. 5 years onto this journey, I had said to Kurt, I'm doing everything right now. I sold my company. I am eating good, going for walks. I'm taking an ice cream pail full of supplements that were costing me probably $500 to $600 a month. And these are therapeutic grade, high quality supplements. Problem was, if I would stop doing any of those things in the perfect order and the system that they told me, I would start to notice a backslide. And that never made a whole lot of sense to me. And I said to Kurt, it was now, it would have been June of 2015 somewhere. I remember saying to Kurt, babe, there's still something missing. I don't know what it is, but there's still something missing. I'm now having migraines twice a month where I was losing half my vision. So I'd lose my peripheral first, and then I would be, kind of stare at you, but I'd only see half your face. Never got the pain, but I'd be laying in bed because I couldn't see. And you can't do the things you want to do when you're laying in bed, and it was getting annoying. So right when I had said that, someone had approached me and said, have you ever heard of plexus? And I said, no, but to be honest, there's no way that a pink drink is going to help me. Do you know what I've all learned? Do you know what I've all tried? And they said, basically, you're smart. Look into it. And so I did. I started looking into it, and I said, okay, here's the thing. I'm kind of desperate. I'm going to give you 3 months, right? So they got me the wholesale account, right? I did it like all of the rest of you probably started. Wholesale account, Triplex, and the X Factor vitamin. I said, I'm going to give you 3 months, and I'm going to be really consistent because I know that natural health takes time. And so I start my pink drink. First week I feel a little bit bloated, but my energy was going up, and I figured that there's no way that after 5 years that this stuff is actually starting to work for me. So I start. Guys, here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that in the first week my energy started going up. By the end of month 2, I did not have anxiety or panic. I have not had it since. I was able to stop my bioidentical progesterone cream at about month 4. I've not had a migraine since. That means I haven't lost my vision. I haven't had any migraines at all. And it is now not quite 2.5 years. I haven't stopped. So when it started working for me, I still didn't totally believe it, but I got to 3 months, and I had at that time said, fine, okay, it's working. I started learning. Like I said, I like to learn the why. I very quickly found out, like you guys know, how amazing plexus is in the ingredients. So I took it to my naturopath. I've paid her 2 times to look at the ingredients and to tell me. I said to her, Dara, I said, why is this working? Because you and I have done everything. I mean, I was getting needles. I was getting everything. She said, Heidi, it's all in the formulation. She said, I was giving you the best that I had. I was giving you therapeutic grade. She says, these are good quality supplements. You weren't absorbing them. So here's the missing link with hormones and adrenals and why this worked for me. So, of course, right, pink drink, Probiotic 5, Bio Cleanse, X Factor. But I was taking double X Factor, the rest all regular doses. And then I started adding in Mega X. Okay, those are really important for adrenals and hormones. I was taking 2 Slim a day on days where, when I was still getting on top of the anxiety. But, so I took it to her and I paid her and I had her look at the ingredients, and she had just said, I was giving you the best that I had, but you were flushing them down the toilet. You were not absorbing them. That's where I started learning about leaky gut and the connection here to adrenals, and why I needed blood sugar balance to get out of my anxiety and to get my progesterone finally catching up, was because cortisol, many of you might already know this, but cortisol and insulin sit on a teeter-totter. That was a really big key to me understanding this. So when stress is up, blood sugars are down. There is no, like, you can't do it this, like, it's just, it's up or down or balanced. And that was a light bulb moment for me, because they had said to me, oh, as a naturopath, make sure you eat every 2 to 3 hours. They never said why, or explained it, and so this also made sense to me. I thought, okay, yes, makes sense. You don't have the late day energy crashes. You're not getting the shot of adrenaline, right? So your adrenals aren't being taxed in the same way. This makes sense why this is working for me. So when I learned why blood sugar balance was so important, that was my missing link. I could take as much progesterone cream as I wanted, but until I brought the stress hormone down by bringing the blood sugars up, then all of a sudden, all those things I was doing, I felt like, hey, I can do this. I'm not feeling stressed out. I'm not feeling like I can't fall asleep at night, guys. I'm sleeping better now than I did in my early 20s. I now, right, we had another son in between. We homeschool the 4 kids. We're still grain farming. We still have our finished carpentry business. Working like crazy, right, to climb the ranks here on Plexus and basically changing lives. So that's the hormone connection. If you know people with hormone imbalance where, you know, they're stressed, they're on anti-anxieties, they're on antidepressants, it sounds so silly simple, but it is. It comes back down to blood sugar balance. They need the Slim. They need the triplex. I'm now also using the Vital Biome. I mean, I'm using all the products, but Vital Biome, now that we have this is another really key factor. So I would now put people on the triplex, the Vital Biome, and the X Factor, and the Mega X if they can, for sure. So are there any really quick questions before? I know I'm seeing there's a little bit of delay here on my other screen, so I'm going to wait just a couple seconds. I'm going to try and scroll here. 1 sec. Yeah, exactly. Absorbing the nutrition. That is what it is, because if you're not absorbing it, you can be taking the absolute best quality supplements. I mean, I know we all know people who have had tremendous results with these products. I continue to be flabbergasted. There's a lead oncologist here in Winnipeg that gave my friend who had stomach cancer a total green light. Here's what he said. This is totally not related to hormones, but he said, I'm very well aware of Plexus, don't stop taking it. Isn't that really cool? Yeah, like just naturopathic doctors, medical doctors, chiropractors, reflexologists, lactation consultants. I mean, everybody loves Plexus, so we need to keep sharing. I'm just going to do a really quick scroll, and then I'm going to let you guys go. But I do have a video on adrenal fatigue specifically, so if anybody wants that, let me know. I kind of squirreled around and bounced all over the place today, but Suzanne had no clue what it was when I was raising my children. I know. You know what, guys? I feel like I had to go through what I went through. I mean, we could talk all day about how bad it got for me. I don't want to do that, but I feel like God led me into the trench to specifically pull me out so I can now relate to other people and to just really help them, because it's exactly like you said, let's educate people. A lot of people they just don't know. And when they don't know what to do better and how to help themselves, and they turn to medication as the only answer. So my job is to now be able to educate people on why plexus, right? Why is this different? Why with anxiety and depression and hormone imbalance and migraines and PMS and all those things, why we can help. And so, like I said, if I can help you or answer any questions, let me know. Feel free to send a message, and I do have the video. But I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I will check back here in a little bit, and I'll go through the comments. Have a great day, guys.